Hey guys, welcome back to Hook with Anime. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Last of the First. It was nighttime when the young shinobi in training jumped down in the forest. He was wearing a bright orange jumpsuit, a set of green goggles, and had a scroll his size in his back. One of the unusual things about him was his sun-kissed blonde hair, ocean blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. That was close, said Uzumaki Naruto, as he sat and unfurled the scroll. This was the scroll of sealing, a scroll that had all sorts of cage-level jutsu within it. Naruto had been told by his sensei Mizuki to retrieve the scroll and learn a jutsu from it as extra credit, then Iruka-sensei would pass him, for Naruto had failed his 3rd genin exam in a row. Let's get started, he mused, looking over the scroll. Kage Bunshin, he muttered. That looks interesting. Moving on, he saw a bunch of other jutsu. In a moment of insight, he retrieved a blank scroll from the pouch on his back, and began copying down jutsu. When he got to something called Shisho Fujin, he saw a spiral below it. Is that a seal of sorts? Struggling to remember what Iruka-sensei had taught him about seals, he faintly remembered that some needed blood to open. Biting his thumb, he rubbed the blood across the seal, and in a puff of smoke, another scroll appeared. What the? Why does this have my name on it? Said Naruto, squinting his eyes. Deciding to review it later, he put it in his pouch and got to work on learning Kage Bunshin. A couple of hours later, Yumino Iruka found a beaten and panting Naruto on the ground. Landing in front of his student, he growled, "I found you." Naruto repeated back, "Found you, nose bleeder. Dumbass. I found you," yelled Iruka. "What the hell are you doing?" "Learning," said Naruto cheekily. "But I only managed to learn 1 jutsu, but I guess I can be a genin now, right?" That made Iruka suspicious. "Naruto, where did you find out about that scroll?" "Mizuki-sensei told me about it, and about this place too," said Naruto, trailing off as Iruka gazed off into space. Iruka sprung into action, tossing Naruto away as a hail of kunai came out of nowhere and impacted, hitting Iruka in various places. Iruka shrugged off the pain, and pulled out the kunai, muttering, "So that's how it is." Mizuki, wearing a Konoha bandana and 2 overly large shuriken, crouched on a tree branch. "Nice job in finding him," he said to Iruka, then turned his attention to Naruto. "Nice job, Naruto. Now give me the scroll." "Don't do it," shouted Iruka, pulling out the last kunai. "That scroll has jutsu collected by the past Hokages, many of them too dangerous to use. Mizuki used you to get the scroll." Naruto looked up at Mizuki, to see his former teacher grin evilly. "I guess there's no point in delaying," said Mizuki. "Naruto, do you know why the whole village hates you?" Knowing where this was going, Iruka yelled in panic, "No, Mizuki, you can't. It's forbidden." Ignoring Iruka, Mizuki continued. "Roughly 12 years ago, you know how the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked? Well, immediately after that, there was a new law made. But that law was never meant to be said to you, or anyone for that matter." "What law?" said Naruto, feeling uneasy. "Stop, Mizuki," shouted Iruka, who went ignored. Mizuki chuckled evilly, and said, "Yondaime Hokage-sama wasn't able to kill the Kyuubi, so he sealed it away, into the body of a baby. And you were that baby." Laughing, Mizuki finished with, "That's why everyone hates you, you're the dreaded Kyuubi no Kitsune." Naruto was dumbstruck. It explained the hatred of the villagers, and why he was beaten to near death on his own birthday. Faintly hearing Mizuki yell how even Iruka hated him because of his parents' deaths, he just stood there as Mizuki threw one of his overly large shuriken at him. When he felt blood hit his face, he snapped out of his stupor to see that Iruka had taken the shuriken in the back. "Why?" he croaked out. "Because," Iruka said, tears streaming down his face, "you're just like me. It must have been hard, hiding all that pain, but I can't hate you, not you." Falling to the side, Iruka rolled onto his seat to pull the shuriken out of his back. Mizuki rushed him, yelling, "Fine, demon lover. I'll just kill you both and take the scroll for myself." He was cut off by a knee to the face. Iruka was now feeling massive amounts of pain, and unable to help. "Naruto, run. Get away. Protect the scroll with your life." Naruto stood the scroll on end, and said, "But the comrades come first, isn't that what you taught us, Iruka-sensei?" By this time, Mizuki had recovered and stood. "Comrades. PFFTT, you're just like me, demon brat. You have all that power, and—" "Shut up," said Naruto, glaring at Mizuki while putting his hands in a cross-shaped seal. "You heard Iruka-sensei, and I'll return his pain to you 1,000-fold. Go on, Kyuubi," yelled Mizuki, pulling another large shuriken, and he immediately wished he hadn't said that. Surrounding the area were at least 1,000 Narutos. Courtesy of Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Both Iruka and Mizuki were gobsmacked. Iruka thought he mastered AS-ranked ninjutsu. Mizuki turned his head, scared out of his wits. "What? How? What the?" The lead Naruto grinned and said, "If you're done pissing, it's time for an ass-kicking." The forest was then introduced to Mizuki's wails. Looking down at the unconscious Mizuki, Naruto rubbed his head sheepishly and said, "I think I overdid it." Iruka grinned and sat up. "Naruto, come here," he said. "I have something for you. Close your eyes." Naruto did so, and when Iruka told him to open them, the first thing he saw was Iruka's headband-less face. "Congrats, on passing," said Iruka, grinning. Naruto hugged Iruka, saying, "Thank you," over and over. Many moments later found Naruto at his little apart, looking over the jutsu he had copied. It was then that he remembered the other scroll, and pulled it out. He saw another seal on it, and biting his thumb once more, rubbed it over the seal. He then read the scroll. To Uzumaki Naruto, if you are reading this, then all has gone as planned. Naruto, you may not know me, but I know you. My name is Namikaze Minato, but I am known as Yondaime Hokage. You are my only son and heir, and I hope you can forgive me for what I'm about to do. My son, it is with a heavy heart that I do this, but too many have died already, and no more need to. The Kyuubi no Kitsune is attacking, and I intend to make it so that it can't hurt anyone else. So, I am forced to seal it with you, my son. You may hate me for this, but I am out of options. You are the only chance our village has for survival, and with your mother, my beloved wife Kushina, gone, I feel like I have nothing to live for. If I could, I would seal it elsewhere, but I cannot. You are the only one able to hold it. With the jutsu I made, the Kyuubi will be locked away, but I will be forced to pass on. The Kyuubi approaches, so I must end here. You are the last of our mighty clan, and you will be in constant danger because of it. Our clan information is below, so please, keep it to yourself, at least until you can defend yourself. I hope that you will be seen as a hero, but a nagging feeling says otherwise. Once more, I am sorry for this, and I love you with all my heart. Your loving father, Namikaze Minato, Yondaime Hokage. When Naruto finished reading it, he wiped the tears from his eyes. Baka, he murmured. But you did it to save me, and everyone else, he grinned, hugging the scroll to his chest. Arigato, Minato san. Wiping away his tears, he looked to see another seal. Unsealing it, out popped a scroll roughly his size, and he unfurled it to read it. To whom it may concern. If you are reading this, then our legacy lives on. You, reader, are the last of our clan, the Tenmujin clan. We were among the most powerful shinobi in the elemental countries, at their making. This was due to our dujutsu, the Ryunogen. With it, we were nigh unstoppable. Unfortunately, due to unknown reasons, our clan produced mainly females. For every 3 female Tenmujin, there was 1 male. And our clan started dying off, also due to unknown reasons, so those of us left relocated to Mizu no Kuni. But then, the first bloodline war came, and we were nearly annihilated. There were roughly 12 of us then, and by the time we made it to Hai no Kuni, that number was reduced by half. To protect our identities, we changed our names to Namikaze, and have remained here in Konohagakure for 50 years. Naruto lowered his head. He had a family, but they were all dead, killed in the Kyuubi attack. He narrowed his eyes. That Kyuubi was the reason he had no family. But since he had his father's techniques, he would find some way to make it suffer. Shaking his head moved on. Ryunogen. To activate, the user has to mold chakra in their eyes, and it will activate. Upon activation, the first level is already accessible. It is possible to use 2 levels at once, but it will take more chakra to keep the eyes on. Naruto closed his eyes, took a deep breath, put his hands in the ram seal, and opened them. His vision was a bit sharpened, so he got up and looked in his mirror, and there his eyes widened. His eyes had turned a shimmering orange, and he had no pupil. He could also see a small black triangle at the top of his iris. Grinning, he went back to his scroll. The Ryunogen has 5 levels. When the Ryunogen is in use, the user's eyes will lose the pupils, and will glow a specific color for each level, and have a small triangle to represent each level. Once all 5 levels are unlocked, the user will possess 5 triangles going around the iris, forming an apparent pentagon. However, to unlock each level, certain conditions must be met, and no levels can be skipped. When the user wants to use a specific level, they must say, Ryunogen no Tomo, then the level power name. To activate a specific ability, they must say either, Ichi, or, Ni, when applicable. Sweet, said Naruto, and he looked down further to see what he had gained. Tomo 1 Kanshi Perception. Level 1 allows the user to see all details, to the point of being able to duplicate anything being done before them. The user can also see up to a maximum of 1.5 miles away. Level 2 allows the user X-ray vision, and they act similar to the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan in this aspect, from seeing tenketsu to seeing foreign objects in the body. Kanshi is obtained when the user first activates their dujutsu. When in use, the user's eyes glow orange with 1 black triangle. On a side note, to use level 1 and 2 at the same time requires the user to say, San. Naruto rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Going outside and jumping to the roof of his apartment, he decided to test it out. Looking towards the Hokage monument, he said, Ryunogen no Tomo, Kanshi ni. Immediately, he could see the monument close up, and he could see each of the cage's faces in clear detail. Grinning, he jumped down, and went back inside. He went back to the scroll to see what was next. Tomo 2 Kanetsu, Heat. Level 1 allows the user to see any heat given off, from fire to body heat. Level 2 allows the user to see any chakra, from residue to being produced. Kanetsu is obtained when the user has increased their natural eyesight by at least 50. When in use, the user's eyes glow yellow with 2 black triangles. Damn, how am I supposed to do that, he said. Thinking, he then decided to go see the Hokage later on. Sandame looked wearily at Naruto's profile. His picture showed him with red face paint around his eyes, a red line going from his lower lip to his chin, and from the bottom of his eyes to his ears. Well, it could have been worse, he thought to himself. I'm still trying to figure out why you did that, he said to Naruto. Naruto grinned and said, it's a surprise, and I wanted to make at least look decent. This is going in the shinobi records. And you're supposed to be wearing your Hitai 8. I know, said Naruto, but he trailed off hearing the door creak. Suddenly, a small child with a cap and a ridiculously long scarf ran in yelling, Oji-san, fight me. Then he tripped over the scarf and fell on his face. Sitting up quickly, he said, all right, who tripped me? Into the room came a man with black glasses, a bandana, and wearing all black. He glared at Naruto, and then said, Honorable grandson, are you all right? No one set a trap. Who is this kid? Thought Naruto, as the kid's gaze centered on him. You tripped me, said the kid, rushing Naruto. Naruto picked him up by the front of his shirt and shot back, "You tripped on your own clothes, you idiot." "Hey," said Ebisu, the man in black. "Put him down. He's Konohamaru, the honorable grandson." Socking Konohamaru on his head, Naruto growled, "And you assume I care?" With that, he turned on his heel and left, heedless of the sputtering Ebisu. Walking down the street, he put on his goggles and began experimenting with his newfound dujutsu discreetly. "Okay, Kunetsu, lets me see details in nearly 2 miles away with level 1, and level 2 lets me see through things. Maybe I'll be able to find my clan home, and then I can move there." He caught movement behind him, and sighed. Turning off his dujutsu, he pulled his goggles up and spun, saying, "Come on out, that's not fooling anyone." Pulling down the cloth he was holding wrong, Konohamaru grinned and said, "So, the rumors are true." Pointing at him, he said, "I know, you can be my Taiko 1, and you be able to help me beat Grandpa." Squinting, Naruto muttered, "Taiko X." Later found Konohamaru and Naruto sitting on a log, resting after Konohamaru was trying to learn Naruto's Oryoku no Jutsu. "Why do you want to beat your grandpa so much?" he asked Konohamaru. "Grandpa named me Konohamaru," said the boy, looking down. "And because of that, no one acknowledges me as that. I'm just the honorable grandson to them. And I'm sick of that. That's why I want to be Hokage." "Get in line," said Naruto, ignoring Konohamaru's surprised look. "I'm gonna be Hokage first, but it ain't easy. If you want the name of Hokage," he looked at Konohamaru and grinned. "You better beat me first." "Found you," said Ebisu, looking on them both. He glared at Naruto. "How dare the Kyuubi brat taint the honorable grandson?" Naruto glared right back, while Konohamaru said, "I'm gonna beat Grandpa and be Hokage. Don't get in my way." Ebisu was about to launch into his tirade about the points of being Hokage when Konohamaru shouted, "Henge." In a puff of smoke, Konohamaru was replaced by a beautiful naked brunette. "Oryoku no Jutsu." She giggled. Ebisu gaped. Konohamaru went back to normal, and Ebisu yelled, "Es such a vulgar skill. I am a gentleman. Such a low-class skill is useless against me." Grabbing Konohamaru's scarf, he tried to drag him off. "Come, honorable grandson, hanging around the likes of him will rot your brain." "I don't wanna go, I don't wanna go, I don't wanna go." "You're coming with me and that's that, because I'm your shortcut to becoming Hokage," said Ebisu, and then he heard, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." Turning around he saw a line of Naruto's. "I'm not as weak as Mizuki," said he. "I am a Tokubetsu Junin." He trailed off when all the Narutos said, "Henge." Ebisu soon found himself surrounded by no less than 20 beautiful naked blondes, all of whom were cooing his name. Chivalry be damned, he was still a red-blooded male, so he did what any red-blooded male would do, he rocketed off in a geyser of blood. Dispelling his clones, Naruto grinned and said, "Meet my Haremu no Jutsu." He turned from the unconscious Ebisu to the cursing Konohamaru and said, "Hey kid, the title of Hokage takes a long road, you better prepare yourself. 'Cause there ain't any shortcuts to becoming Hokage." Grinning, he finished with, "If you wanna be Hokage, you're gonna have to beat me to it." Konohamaru was silent, then he said, "Okay, then from now on, we're rivals." Walking off and giving Konohamaru a thumbs up, Naruto said, "I'll look forward to fighting you later on." Naruto jumped through the trees, landing on a building near the abandoned Uchiha sector. It was nearly evening, and he still hadn't found his clan home. Sighing, he thought that he'd look for it later, when a glint of light caught his eye. Moving toward it, he saw a magnificent temple-like structure was before him, with a stone wall going around it. Deep down, he felt a sense of familiarity, of belonging. "I've found it," he said grinning. Looking over it, he found a handprint in the stone. Sighing, he cut his hand, and put it in the handprint. A moment later, there was the sound of gears and stone grinding, and the stone split in two and swung inwards. Naruto entered, and was amazed by what he found. To his right was a blooming sakura tree, with a pond on its right side and going to the back. To his left, 4 statues of kitsune. In front of him stood his clan complex, divided into 3 buildings. The main building was the largest and in the center, and the adjoining buildings were slanting right and left. Grinning, he inspected the entrance in the barrier. Another handprint was there, but this one just required his touch to close. And now that he unsealed it, he could get back in without giving up blood. With that, he left his newfound home, and went back to his old one. Using storage scrolls, he packed everything he had, which wasn't much. The last thing he did was tying the Tenmujin scroll to his back. He stood in the doorway, and inhaled the smell of his apartment one last time. Goodbye, old place, he said, before closing the door. Unknown to Naruto, he was watched by Sandame, through his mystical crystal ball. Ah, Minato, he sighed, puffing smoke from his pipe. You and Kushina would both be proud of your boy. With that, he exited his office to retire for the night. Naruto quickly got situated in his new home. He found his bedroom, and set it up, leaving the Tenmujin scroll on his bed. He then looked out on his yard. Those foxes, they reminded him of the Kyuubi. Narrowing his eyes, he set out on his mission, not knowing what he was doing would change his life forever. Hours later found him marking one of the stone foxes with seals, using his blood as markers. He had spent the last couple of hours trying to understand the 3 Fuin jutsu his father used, Shiki Fujin, Hake no Fuin Shiki, and Shisho Fujin. Now, he said, worst thing that can happen is that I go out with a bang. With that, he started going through seals. What in the 7 hells do you think you are doing? Naruto jumped at the voice that came out of nowhere. Who's there? He yelled, looking around. I'm inside your head, flesh rat, growled the voice. You know me as the almighty Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto began to tremble with rage. You're the reason I have no family, and why everyone hates me. Kyuubi chuckled. And you assume I care. I'm far too powerful to care about petty human squabbles. Naruto growled. Yeah, well I'll show you. Continuing his seals, he grinned evilly. I'm gonna put you in this statue, marked by holy seals, and you'll be in there forever. Kyuubi laughed. Little fool, if you release the seal, I'll be free, and you will die. Went Naruto. And he did the one thing that decided his future. He messed up a seal. Immediately, the seals on the stone fox began to glow, and Naruto felt a searing pain in his stomach. Crouching and crying out, he faintly heard horrible laughter, then, no. Then the stone fox exploded, and he was thrown backwards, and blissful blackness overtook him. Naruto's mindscape. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw pipes above him. Did I die? He asked aloud. He looked around, and he saw a steel door knocked off its hinges. Creeping over to it, he peeped in. He could see a large brass cage with a fuda that had the kanji for seal. But the cage was misshapen, and he could see a lake of red beyond it. No Kyuubi, though. Suddenly, he felt a bit woozy. Sitting down, he muttered, not again, before falling backwards and passing out. When he came to, the sun was shining. Sitting up, he groaned as he rubbed his head. He then noticed that things came into sharper focus, and he could smell the sakura tree. Looking at the stone fox, he saw that it had been blown to pieces. Standing shakily, he went inside, and made his way to his room. His scroll was still open, but something else had appeared. Rubbing his eyes and looking down, he shouted, Yada. He had gained the second tomo, Kanetsu. Now he had instructions for the third tomo. Tomo 3 Kanmei, Confusion. Allows the user to disorient anyone hit. To send a burst of this power, from the eyes, the user has to say, Ranzatsu. Kanmei is obtained when the user has sharpened their mind, usually by knowledge acquired from Kage Bunshin. When in use, the user's eyes glow white with 3 black triangles. Naruto grinned. It's a good thing that I learned Kage Bunshin. Then, he trailed off looking at his clock. Kuso. He cursed. I'm gonna be late. He looked down. He couldn't go as is, his orange jumpsuit was shredded. Frantically, he went through his stuff, then opened his closet. What he saw inside made him grin foxily. Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino, two rival kunoichi for a certain heir's affections, reached the classroom at the same time. Cha. Take that, Ino pig, said Sakura panting. No, I won, retorted Ino. Glaring, both of them made their way toward their object of affection. Uchiha Sasuke, the object of affection and sympathy for the whole village, brooded while ignoring the looks his fangirls sent him. He was the sole survivor of the Uchiha clan, which had been massacred by one of their own when he was little. Since then, he had been seen as the dark and mysterious type. Right now, he just wanted this done and over with. The door flew open, and in walked Naruto. Everyone there was surprised to see him, but that's not what rendered them speechless. Naruto came in wearing a navy blue jumpsuit, with the coat open revealing an ash-gray netted shirt, with a strange pattern on the stomach, a red spiral surrounded by 5 triangles. On the shoulders of the jacket were ash-gray patches with the kanji for wind in black. Add that it seemed he had grown an inch overnight, and he gained a lithe set of muscles, and you had a whole lot of potential. But what stood out the most was the scroll that he tied to his back, the Tenmujin scroll. The first to recover was on Hyuga Hinata, who had harbored a deep affection love, for Naruto. She blushed deeply, her eyes rolled up, and she fainted. Naruto was snickering at the gaping new genin, and then he noticed an enticing smell. Where's that coming from? He thought to himself, then was brought out of his thoughts by someone asking. What the hell are you doing here, Naruto? This is for graduates only. Pointing at his Hitai-8, he grinned and said, need I say more? With that, he made his way up to a seat, but that smell came back. Smells like honey, he thought, and decided to follow his nose. Eventually, he came to Hinata. Hinata-chan, he said, poking her gently. You okay? Hinata's eyes fluttered and she opened to see Naruto mere inches from her face. She reddened and tried her best not to faint. Hi, Naruto-kun. Naruto nodded and sat one seat down, next to Sasuke. He then smelled dog, and rolled his eyes. What? Kiba? Inuzuka Kiba glared down at Naruto, while his pet and partner Akamaru whimpered and tried to get his master to avoid Naruto. What's with the new look, Dobi? And that giant scroll? Quote. Sasuke wanted to know that as well, but he was too proud to ask. Naruto grinned. The winds of change blew last night, and the scroll is my clan scroll. That caused a number of people to think. A clan. But Naruto was an orphan. Their thoughts were interrupted by Iruka, who came in. Well, now that everyone's here, we can get started. Pulling out a clipboard, he faced the students. Starting today, you are all genin. But the hard part has just started. You'll be assigned to 3-man teams, and each team will have one Junin sensei. The teams are balanced like so, the best in class, the worst in class, and one to balance them out. When you're assigned certain duties to the village, you'll follow your Junin sensei's instructions. PFT, thought Sasuke. 3-man teams, more people to get in my way. I think I'd rather be with Sakura-chan, thought Naruto, his arm supporting his scroll. Then, anyone else, except for Sasuke and Kiba. Team 7, Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura. In that order, yada. Damn. An Uchiha Sasuke. Damn, yada. Naruto didn't bother raising a stink about Sasuke, so he just decided to bear it. Team 8, Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino. Naruto felt somewhat sorry for Hinata, so he turned and gave her a thumbs up, to help her confidence. She blushed and looked in her lap. There's that smell again, he thought. Why is there a honey smell coming from Hinata? We all know the rest of the teams. Naruto looked out the door for the 10th time. Where is that guy? He said aloud. Naruto, stay still. He'll get here when he gets here, said Sakura. She had been feeling funny for the past hour. She felt somewhat heated. She blamed it on the summer heat. Well, since he's late, said Naruto, placing an eraser on the door frame. Naruto. What? He shrugged at Sakura. If he's a Junin, then he should be able to avoid it. Right after he said that, the door opened, and the eraser fell on the head of a silver-haired mask-wearing Junin with his Hittite going over his left eye. Speak of the devil, said Naruto, squinting. He smells like dog, too. This guy is supposed to teach us. Thought Sasuke. Said the Junin, rubbing his masked chin. My first impression is, you're a bunch of idiots. Afterwards, all four met on the roof. Okay, said the Junin, let's do some introductions. You know, likes, dislikes, those things. You first, said Naruto, holding his scroll in one arm. We don't know anything about you. Oh, me, I'm Hatake Kakashi. I have no desire to tell you guys my likes and dislikes. I have lots of hobbies. Dreams for the future. All we learned, began Naruto. Was his name. Finished Sakura. All right, said Kakashi, pointing at Naruto. You first, scroll boy. Squinting his eyes and grinning, Naruto started. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like instant ramen and training. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes for ramen to cook, and bigoted bastards. Also emos, can't forget those whiny little bastards. Dreams for the future, rebuild my clan and become Hokage. My hobbies are training, pranks, and gardening. Kakashi nodded, while inwardly thinking, I didn't know he had a clan, you next, duck ass. Sasuke glared at Kakashi, and said, Uchiha Sasuke, I don't have a lot of likes, and I have plenty of dislikes. I don't use the word dream, but I have an ambition, to resurrect my clan and kill a certain man. An Avenger, why am I not surprised? Thought Kakashi. You're up Pinky. I'm Haruno Sakura. I like. She looked over at Sasuke and giggled. I dislike. She was tempted to say, Naruto, but the heat returned, and her voice caught. So, instead she said, Ino pig. Dreams for the future. She looked off into space and giggled. My hobby. Enough, said Kakashi, holding up a hand. Okay, we'll start our duties tomorrow. Sweet, said Naruto. What kind? First, the four of us are gonna do survival training. But this isn't regular training. It'll be you three against me. Here he chuckled. But what? Asked Sakura. This test has a failure rate of 66. Anyone who fails gets sent back to the academy, said Kakashi, his visible eye in an upside U, indicating a smile. The three genin were gobsmacked, and Naruto was the first to recover. So, what was the point of graduating? That was a genin selection process, seeing who were the most desirable candidates for the rank of genin. Anyway, you'll be graded on the field. By the way, don't eat tomorrow morning, you'll throw up. Handing them papers, he said, the details are on the paper. Don't be late. With that, he poofed away. Naruto stood up and tied the scroll to his back. Well, see you two later, he said, before jumping down. Sakura was about to call him, but she restrained herself at the last moment. She then turned to Sasuke, but he was already going in the door. Later that night, Naruto sat in his room, going over what had happened the previous night. From what I figure, when the transfer ceiling backfired, it sent the Kyuubi somewhere, but left me with his chakra, and I've gained some enhanced senses. The only ones who could help me are Kiba's folks, but I don't think they like me much. Deciding not to brood on it, he went to bed. The last thought he had was, you would have thought that any other shinobi would have felt that chakra pulse. The following morning, he got the training grounds at the same time as Sakura and Sasuke. They ended up waiting 2 hours before Kakashi showed. You're late, Naruto and Sakura yelled. Ignoring them, Kakashi set a clock down on a wooden stump and said, this is set for noon. Here are 2 bells. Your task is to get them away from me. And only the winners get to eat lunch. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke all had the same thought. Lousy bastard, that's why he told us not to eat. Since there are 2 bells, that means one of you will definitely be tied to the stump. And that one will be sent back to the academy. The only you'll defeat me is if you come with the intent to kill. At the glares he was getting, Kakashi chuckled. You know, I'm beginning to like you guys. Then he got serious. All right, start. And just like that, the three genin were gone. Good, thought Kakashi. They've all hidden themselves well. He then saw Naruto still standing in front of him. Never mind. What is he doing? Thought Sakura, from her spot in the underbrush. Sasuke had the same thought from his vantage point in the trees. Fight me, said Naruto. Kakashi reached into his pouch and pulled an orange book with Come Come Paradise on the cover. Naruto blanched. Why do you have a book? Because I wanna find out what happens next. But it won't matter in the long run. Naruto growled and rushed Kakashi, who dodged while reading. Lesson 1. Taijutsu, he mused. When Naruto delivered a roundhouse kick, Kakashi got behind and crouched with his hands in the tiger seal. Rule number 1. A shinobi is never caught from behind. With that, he thrust forward. Senin Garashi. Naruto rocketed into the air, screaming and holding his ass. That wasn't ninjutsu, thought an annoyed Sakura. That was just a super ass poke. PFFT, two morons, thought Sasuke. He was as surprised as the rest when Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. What was that jutsu? Ah, thought Kakashi. Kage Bunshin. He must have done it when they separated. Looks like he's not a total idiot after all. Elsewhere, Naruto watched as his clone disappeared, and sighed in relief. To think that could have been me. Involuntarily, he shuddered. Why do I feel violated and scarred for life, all of a sudden? In the meantime, Sasuke caught Kakashi off guard and threw a combination of kunai and shuriken. Kakashi took them in the side, and then disappeared in the puff of smoke. When the smoke cleared, there was a log in his place. Damn, swore Sasuke, as he leapt backwards through the trees. Kawarimi no jutsu, now he knows where I am. Bastard used a trap, and I fell for it. He was unaware of an eye peeping through a gap in the bushes. Heh, silly little genin, now to screw with them. In the meantime, Sakura had been making as little noise as possible as she leapt through the bushes. Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun, where are you? Could sensei already have? No, not Sasuke-kun, he wouldn't let that happen, neither would Naruto-kun. She was thrown out of her thoughts by the sight of Kakashi through a gap of trees. Phew, he didn't notice me, she thought. Sakura. Sakura spun around to see Kakashi inches away look her in the eye, and then disappear in a swirl of leaves. The leaves spun every, and she felt herself grow sleepy. She shook her head, saying, what was that? Where's sensei? Sakura. That was a different voice, a voice she was waiting to hear. Sasuke-kun, she said in glee, turning around. Sasuke was covered in kunai and shuriken, and bleeding heavily from a severed arm. Help me, he gasped. Sakura went pale, and shivered, and then another voice came out. Sakura-chan. Shakily, she turned to see Naruto with swords jutting out from his back, kunai in his arms, and a bloody wound over his left eye. Falling to his knees, he gasped out, Sakura-chan, help me, before spitting up blood. That was all Sakura could take, so she screamed as hard as she could, and fainted. Said Kakashi, crouching on a tree branch while reading his little orange book. I think I overdid it. Lesson number 2, Genjutsu. Sasuke looked up at hearing the scream. That scream, Sakura. Naruto was on the same tree Kakashi was on, and when he heard the scream, he winced and leapt off the tree as quietly as he could, making his way towards Sakura through the underbrush. Unfortunately, Kakashi saw him, but surprisingly, he ignored him. He's going for his teammate instead of the bell. Maybe this team isn't hopeless after all. Out loud he said, Genjutsu, illusionary techniques, Sakura fell for it easily. I'm not like those other two, said Sasuke, his back to Kakashi. Say that after you got the bells, Sasuke-chan. Meanwhile, Naruto had gotten to Sakura and shaken her awake. Nay, Sakura-chan, wake up, the time's almost up. Sakura opened her eyes to see Naruto's sky blue ones, and she felt her heart skip a beat. No, no, I like Sasuke-kun, not Naruto-kun, she said in her head while sitting up. Naruto, what are you doing here? Naruto rubbed his head and grinned. I figured that together, the two of us might stand a better chance of getting the bells. But Sensei said, Sakura was cut off by an explosion, and she and Naruto turned their head to see a cloud of smoke. What was that? Not sure, said Naruto. Let's go check it out. Lesson number 3. Ninjutsu, said Kakashi, crouching down to look Sasuke in the eye. Doden. Shinju Zanshu, looks like you managed to get ahead of the others, he chuckled at his poorly made pun, and walked away, letting the angered Sasuke hear another bad pun. You know what they say, an exposed nail must be hammered in, heh heh heh. Immediately after, Naruto and Sakura appeared, with Sakura screaming at the sight of Sasuke's head above the ground, and passing out again. Naruto caught her, while Sasuke pulled himself out of the ground. When Sakura came to again, Sasuke turned on his heel and started to walk. Where do you think you're going, emo boy? Sasuke ignored Naruto's insult and said, there's not much time, I'm going to get a bell. Sasuke-kun, you're still going after the bells. I already touched them, next time I'll get them, he said, earning a, what? From both Naruto and Sakura. Well, began Naruto, wouldn't it work out to having all three of us trying to beat Kakashi-sensei's ass into the dirt? PFT, said Sasuke, his back to them, I don't need anyone's help. I almost got them by myself, and I'll get them for sure this time. But Sasuke-kun, said Sakura, stepping toward him, there's not much time left, like you said, so we might stand a better chance next time. At this, Sasuke glared at the two of them. After a moment of silence he spoke at last. There's a man I have to kill, I am an avenger, I have to become stronger than that man, so I can't just stand around here, I have to get my own power my own way. Right after he said that, the bell went off. 10 minutes later found Naruto tied to a log, with Sasuke and Sakura sitting next to him, and 2 bento lunches in front of them. Why the hell am I tied to the log? Snapped Naruto at the grinning Kakashi. I dunno, some higher power, I guess. Anyways, you'll be glad to know that both you and Sakura get to go back to the academy. What? Exclaimed Sakura. How is that good news? Sasuke said nothing, but gave off a small, bah. Yeah, said Naruto. While we go back to the academy, what about Sasuke-tem? Kakashi gave off an eye smile as he said, Sasuke should quit as a shinobi entirely. What? Kakashi narrowed his visible eye at the three. Even though it seems like I'm singling him out, it's the truth. Uchiha Sasuke is a selfish bastard who doesn't deserve to be a shinobi. Sasuke growled and ran at Kakashi, who twisted his arm and sat on him. See, that's what I'm talking about. Looking at Naruto and Sakura, he continued. Why do you think you were divided into teams of 3 and forced to do this exercise? You were on the way to answering this question before, when you met up again after the 3 lessons. In another rare moment of insight, Naruto picked up the answer. Teamwork. Kakashi nodded. Yep, teamwork. But how? Asked Sakura. There are only 2 bells. Even if we did team up, then one of us would still fail. In yet another rare moment of insight, Naruto picked up another answer. That was just to make us fight each other. Both Kakashi and Sakura stared at him. Who are you and what have you done with the real Uzumaki Naruto? Asked Sakura. Untie me, damn it, Naruto yelled. Kakashi chuckled. Still the same kid, anyway, the purpose of the bells was to see if you would forget about yourselves and work together for the sake of the group. Closing his eye, he delivered his observations. Sakura, you were out looking for Sasuke, instead of Naruto who was closer. Naruto, you tried to do the work by yourself. Even so, the two of you managed to at least try to team up and work together. Pulling Sasuke's arm, he said, But you, Mr. Avenger, saw the others as obstacles and tried to do everything by yourself, with the thought of asking for help. Looking back at the genin in front of him, he said, the duties are done by the team. Of course, individual skills are valuable to a shinobi, but so is the value of teamwork. Individuals going off half-cocked can get you and your comrades in a dangerous situation. For example, Kakashi whipped out a kunai and put it to Sasuke's neck. Sakura, kill Naruto, or Sasuke dies. At their alarmed looks, he put the kunai away and stood up, allowing Sasuke to stand. However, a Kakashi clone appeared behind him, and tied him to the post while freeing Naruto. After the Kakashi clone disappeared, the real Kakashi said, if a hostage is taken, you'll have to make difficult choices. You'll be risking your lives on your duties to this village. Walking over to a certain stone, Kakashi gazed at it impassively. See this stone. The names on this stone are people recognized by this village as heroes. But they're not regular heroes, they died doing their duty, even my best friend's name is here, on this memorial stone. Facing them, Kakashi grew narrowed his visible eye. You guys get one more chance. After lunch, you can try and get the bells, but it'll be tougher this time around. Also, if you want to challenge me, you'd better eat, but don't give any to Sasuke, he's gotta learn to share before he gets himself into serious trouble. Here, I am the law, got it? With that, he vanished. Right after that, Naruto handed his food over to the tied Sasuke. Want some food? While Sasuke glared, Sakura nearly choked. Naruto-kun, Sensei said. Sensei said work for the good of the team, and if the three of us are gonna stand any chance against him, we all need to be at full strength. Sakura nodded her head slowly, then offered her own food to Sasuke. Suddenly, an explosion went off in front of them. Through the wind and smoke, the three genin heard Kakashi yell, "What the fuck did I just say?" His voice sounded like the one of an angry god, and he looked the part as well. Just for that, you, all. Suddenly, he appeared before them, his visible eye, smiling. Pass. At this, there were two simultaneous, huh. You guys are the first team I ever passed. Everyone else just did what I told them, like mindless drones. A shinobi must see underneath the underneath. Those who disregard the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are lower than trash. With that, he gave them a thumbs up. That ends today's training. Starting tomorrow, Team 7 starts its missions. Moments later, Kakashi reappeared in the Hokage's office, and he found Yuhi Kurenai, newly promoted Junin and renowned Genjutsu mistress, Sarutobi Asuma, son of Sandaime Hokage and notoriously known for his perpetual cigarettes and wind affinity, and Yumino Iruka, Chunin teacher and, well, we already know Iruka-sensei. Yuhi Kurenai, Junin sensei of Inazuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino reporting that Team 8 passes. Sarutobi Asuma, Junin sensei Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino, and Akamaiki Choji reporting that Team 10 passes. Hatake Kakashi, Junin sensei of Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke, reporting that Team 7 passes. This caught everyone by surprise, because Kakashi was known to have never have passed a team during his time as a Junin sensei. Why the change of heart, Kakashi? Asked Asuma. Kakashi inhaled and let out his breath. This team is a unique one. Sakura's a fangirl still, but she looks like she's slowly coming out of that. Sasuke's an Avenger, that much is certain, so I hazard that group dynamics are going to be a bit strained. Naruto. How's Naruto? Asked Iruka. He's a strange one, he's got a good handle on Kage Bunshin, and he figured out the answer to the bell test without realizing it. He seems to dislike Sasuke a lot, but he seems to be the main anchor of the group. Sandaime nodded. He always was the most unpredictable shinobi. Kakashi nodded and offhandedly added, and he wants to rebuild his clan like Sasuke. When Naruto walked past the training grounds, he was unaware that he was followed. But when he got near Ichiraku Ramen, he suddenly spun around and said, "Come on out. I know you're there." From behind a lamppost appeared Hyuga Hinata, her cheeks stained red. From being caught or something else, he didn't know. Oh, Ohio, Hinata-chan. She waved shyly, stuttering, oh Ohio and Naruto-kun. Naruto scratched his head and thought to himself, why does she act like this around me? And why in the hell does she smell like honey again? Nay, Hinata-chan, what's the matter? Do you need some help? Hinata shook her head and cursed herself for her weakness. She had been thinking about him earlier, but her thoughts had escalated from their usual PG goodness to pretty much X-rated raunchiness. Breathing deeply, she stepped closer and asked, how did you do on your team? Grinning broadly, Naruto chuckled and said, our sensei passed us, and he said we're the first team he ever passed. He said it was because of teamwork and because we were the best out of the teams he went through. Hinata nodded and stepped closer still. She was about to ask what his team was like when she felt her heart begin to race, and she felt hot. So she did what the situation demanded, she fainted. Naruto cursed and caught her before she hit the ground. Hoisting her onto his back, he looked around and figured that since they were close to his house, he'd take her there and wait for her to wake up, and then take her home. How wrong he was. When Hinata woke up, she was lying on her back with her head on a big scroll. Sitting up, she saw that she was in someone's yard, but then she heard grunting and the sound of blows landing. Leaping to her feet, she activated her Byakugan and saw Naruto fighting a clone to her right. She sighed in relief and shut it off. She then took in that they were in a moderately well-clan yard. Not as big as her clans, but big enough to be comfortable. Aura, Hinata-chan, came Naruto's voice, and she turned to him, her breath catching in her throat. He had taken off his coat and shirt, and was standing in front of her bare-chested and sweating. He grinned foxily and said, glad to see you're up, are you feeling okay? No, I'm not, she wanted to answer, but she didn't. She had been feeling heated since the beginning of the day, and she had been mainly thinking her Naruto-kun, wait, where did that, her, come from? She shook her head, trying to clear her mind, but it didn't work. Naruto saw this, and stepped closer, putting a comforting hand on her shoulder. Nay, do you need to go to the hospital? He asked innocently. Hinata felt his hand on her shoulder, and she lost it. Her body was screaming at her to give in and follow her instincts, and she did. When Naruto put his hand on her shoulder, Hinata tackled him to the ground and crushed her lips to his. Naruto, for the most part, was caught by surprise. But he smelled more honey than before, and felt Hinata grind her groin to his. To his horror, he felt himself react. No, I can't do this to Hinata-chan. He thought frantically, and he was about to voice it. Hinata lifted her upper body up and gazed at him through lidded eyes. No, Naruto-kun, she said, placing a finger on her lips, while shrugging off her jacket. I've wanted this for a while, and I offer myself to you. Naruto was thunderstruck at this, and thought to himself, Hinata-chan likes me. Like I like Sakura-chan. He was about to ask, when Hinata leaned back onto her haunches and reached for the waist of his pants. Chapter 2. Journey Through the Waves. Low Tide. Naruto blinked, slowly regaining his bearings from the last few moments. He could register Hinata playing with his hair, but he still couldn't figure out how he ended up in this situation. Flashback. Closing parenthesis. Hinata had reached for the waist of Naruto's pants before he was able to stop her. Hinata herself didn't know why she was doing this, she just knew that she wanted Naruto, and she wanted him now. On that note, she divested herself of her remaining clothing and tore off his pants. Hi Hinata-chan, yelped Naruto, who found himself at the mercy of this hungry kunoichi. Well, at least he now knew why she wore that coat of hers. Were this anyone else, they would have considered themselves the luckiest guy on the planet. Hinata reddened slightly as she saw Naruto now openly staring at her magnificent form, and who could blame him? She was 13, and she had the body of a 16-year-old. But that was beside the point. The point was that she would only do this for him and him alone. With that thought in mind, she felt at peace, and she felt that she was ready. She crawled onto Naruto, and, taking in a deep breath, took his manhood deep within her maidenhood. Naruto felt as if he had left this world and gone to heaven. This feeling was indescribable, but he was sure that he heard Hinata yelp when he hit a certain barrier within her. Through lidded eyes, he gazed at her, his sky blue ones gazing into her pale lavender ones. "Hi, Nata," he gasped out, before she leaned forward and kissed him. "Don't speak," she breathed, and leaned back, letting his hardness pierce through her and making her, Hyuga Hinata, his mate for life. She gasped out in pain, pain that soon evaporated into pleasure, and she began to move back and forth. Each movement caused her to mew out in delight, and she began to dominate him through their love-making. This was a new sensation for Naruto, this connection, the pure focus on his other's physical being. It was amazing how much he focused on her gripping him inside of her, how he was now intent on making cry out his name as he ravaged her again and again. He slowly, but surely began to increase his speed, in and out, in and out. Faster and faster until he felt his lower muscles burn and his breath come out in loud pants. He could see the look of utter bliss upon her face as she closed her eyes and said something over and over again. His mind wasn't working right, his every thought faded and confused, he couldn't remember who he was, or where he was. "No, I'm one, and at peace," he moaned, and he could hear his Hinata-chan moaning his name, no, screaming his name, screaming for him to go faster, to push harder, and he felt himself obey her commands like the loyal slave he found himself becoming. Hinata felt a searing warmth in her belly, and felt the thing inside her most sacred of places twitching. But her primal instincts had taken over, and she screamed his name as she felt the first surges of his warmth fill her reservoir. Naruto felt her clench around him, and he lost himself to this new sensation. He was unaware that his hair spiked, his whisker marks grew more pronounced, and his canines grew. His eyes opened, darkened from their sky blue to a night's purple with slitted pupils, and he yelled out, "Hinata-chan." With that, he thrust his hips forward one final time, filling his newfound mate with his seed. The tidal wave of emotions passed them, Hinata fell forward, gasping and panting, and her lavender eyes met Naruto's blue ones. They kissed deeply, and she pressed her body to him. She was his, and he was hers. Naruto let out a purr, and she giggled. With that, she rose slightly and they became one once more. End flashback, end of Lemon. Naruto snickered. He and Hinata had made love 3 more times after that. "Take that, Sasuke-tem," he muttered. "What was that, Naruto-kun?" asked Hinata, looking down on him. "Nothing," said Naruto, as Hinata stroked his hair. "It's just that Sasuke-tem said that he wanted to rebuild his clan, or something like that, and I got a lot closer today than he did in the past 2 years." Hinata giggled, and Naruto found himself mesmerized by her jiggling breasts. "She's just grows fast, is all," he thought, and stood up, taking Hinata's hand in his. "I want to show you something," he said. Hinata stood and followed him, the two of them unconcerned about their nudity like the previously pure Adam and Eve. Once inside, he showed her the legacy he inherited. My family was called the Tenmujin, and they were said to be even stronger than the Uchiha and Hyuga clans, no offense, Hinata-chan. None taken. Naruto grinned and pointed at the family tree tapestry on the wall. "Here I am at the bottom, my Otu-sama was Yondaime." Hinata's eyes widen. "Why Yondaime-sama was your father?" Naruto grinned sadly. "It gets better, I was born the day he died, after he sealed the Kyuubi away." Hinata gazed at him for a moment, and then she hugged him. "It doesn't matter that you have the Kyuubi sealed in you, you are my Naruto-kun, and nothing can change that." Naruto hugged her back, and then he stiffened. "Wait a minute, you know." Hinata nodded. "It wasn't too hard to figure out, the whispers, the cold eyes, and the way you're treated on October 10th, your birthday, of all days." Naruto then grinned shyly. About the Kyuubi," at Hinata's questioning look, he laughed hesitantly. Well, I found out from Mizuki Tem, and after I came here, I sorta tried to transfer seal him into one of the stone foxes. At Hinata's alarmed look, he calmed her down. No, he's not gonna hurt anyone. I sorta screwed up on the ceiling and threw his spirit out of my body, but I kept all his chakra. Grinning, he said with a final, "You're safe, we're all safe, and he can't do anything about it." Hinata breathed out a sigh of relief. That's good to know. Naruto grinned. Also, I have a dujutsu because of my clan. Tilting her head, Hinata asked him to show her. When he showed her the first and second tomo, she clapped her hands in glee. Nay, Naruto-kun, what do they do? Tomo 1, called Kanshi, has 2 levels. Level 1 lets me see things better, copy things, and see faraway things, and level 2 lets me see through things and into any body. Hinata nodded. Tomo 1 sounds like my Byakugan, and Sasuke-san's Sharingan. Naruto nodded and said, I have 5 tomo to my eyes, and I've unlocked 2 tomo already, and I'm trying to unlock the 3rd tomo right now. There are conditions I have to meet for the tomo, and this one involves Kage Bunshin. Hinata laughed a little and hugged him from the side. You know, she began, slanting her eyes, I've heard that that's a jutsu that not even some Junin know. Naruto laughed and rubbed his head shyly. Nay, I guess I just have too much chakra. Nuzzling his cheek, she continued. Nay, if the council found out, they'd force you into multiple marriages. Naruto stiffened. En Nani. Hinata clenched his hand in hers as she got to her point. I'm willing to share, as long as I like her, and you show me. This was an information overload. If the council found out about his Kekai Genkai, they'd turn him into a womanizer made only for breeding. Hinata-chan was possessive, but if she liked the girl he brought her, then she wouldn't do anything. Naruto felt a bit dizzy, and he swayed uneasily. Nay, he started, then a glint on the wall caught his eye. Looking over, he saw his alarm clock at 4:55. Nay, Hinata-chan, I think you should go home, your family might miss you. Hinata stuck out her tongue. I know. But I will see you soon, nay. Naruto nodded and gave her a thumbs up. If anything comes up with my team, you'll be the first to know, Hinata-chan. Hinata walked up to him and kissed him, whispering against his lips, Sayonara, Naruto-kun. Then she walked out, swaying her naked hips as she went to get her clothes, grinning as she knew he had his eyes on her. Naruto blushed as Hinata left. He was sure that she did that on purpose. An indeterminate time later. This is Scarecrow. What is the distance to the target? Asked Kakashi into his microphone. This is Fox, the target is 5 meters and closing, I'm ready to move anytime, came Naruto's voice. This is Darkfire, I'm ready to move, came Sasuke's voice. Cherry Blossom here, I'm ready too, came Sakura's voice. Okay, go, said Kakashi. In the forest, the 3 genin leapt into action as their mission objective came into view. Naruto leapt into action and grabbed the target, a brown cat. Ribbon on the left ear, is it Tora? Said Kakashi in Sasuke's ear. Yeah, he answered, as Naruto lifted Tora onto his shoulder and cradled him there. Alright, mission complete, return to base, came Kakashi's voice. Tora found himself being hugged to death by his owner, the fire daimyo's wife. Nyaa, help me, he thought in vain. Poor cat, thought Sakura, doing her best to avoid looking at Naruto. After the woman paid and left, Sandaime looked at his pad and said, Alright, Team 7, your next missions are babysitting an elder's grandchildren, shopping in the neighboring village, and helping with the potato digging. Tora, and getting the fire lady's cat, he added, hearing the woman scream. Number. Iruka, Sandaime, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi glanced at Naruto. What? Naruto crossed his arms and squinted his eyes. No more D-rank missions. We can do much better than these crappy-ass D-ranks. The members of Team 7 had their own thoughts on this. He's got a point, thought Sasuke. That is true, but that still doesn't make Naruto-kun any less annoying, thought Sakura. I'm surprised he didn't bring this up last time, thought Kakashi. Baka, you're still just a rookie, yelled Iruka, standing up. Everyone starts off with the little missions and work their way up. We've done 25D rank mission, said Naruto, glaring through one eye. I'm pretty sure that's enough for 2C ranks. I mean, you had to have chased that cat a couple of times, too. Thinking back, Iruka and Sandaime paled at that statement. Animals aside, they had to do the exact same thing. Sandaime casually shoved the D-rank mission scroll he had into a bin, and lifted up a different one. Oh look, AC rank mission for you, he said nonchalantly. This one calls for a certain individual's protection. Cool, said Naruto, his teammates and sensei stunned. Who is it? A princess? A daimyo? As if on cue, the door opened, and in came an elderly man with a bottle of sake. A somewhat empty bottle of sake. What the? They're just a bunch of kids, he said, taking a swig from his bottle. While Naruto covered his nose, he continued on. They look like they're gonna wet themselves, especially the idiotic blonde. Kakashi grabbed Naruto as said blonde brandished several kunai, and swore to kill the man. Naruto, it defeats the purpose if you kill the client. The elder ignored Naruto and said, I'm the super special awesome expert bridge builder Tazuna, and I expect you to provide me with ultra special protection until I get back to my home country and complete the bridge. Naruto exited his compound with just his scroll on his back. He walked down to the village gates, when he saw a familiar head of hair. Ora, Hinata-chan, he yelled, waving. Hinata was with her team when she heard Naruto's voice. She turned around and smiled at the sight of her mate. She went to him and hugged him, and he hugged her back, saying, me and the team have AC rank mission, we gotta escort this old drunk to his home country. Hinata furrowed her brow and asked, how long will it be? A couple of weeks, at most, said Naruto grinning. Kiba, who had been listening, gave of a feral grin. When Hinata had left the training grounds, he could smell that she was in heat. He was going to offer to escort her home when she scurried off when they were dismissed. When she appeared the next morning to report, he could smell that she was still in heat, but he could smell an unknown scent on her. Now he knew it was Naruto, and the way he and Hinata acted, they had just been around each other. Now, I've got about 2 weeks to make Hinata my mate, he thought. In the meantime, Naruto had given Hinata another hug and wished her well. He then waved goodbye and left. Moments later, he and his team, along with Tazuna, were outside the village gates. Yada! Shouted Naruto. Let's go. Where's your bag, dumbass? Asked Sasuke, and Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out a storage scroll. Who needs a bag when you have these? Are you sure I'm safe with you guys? Said a more sober Tazuna to Kakashi, who said, don't worry, I'm a Junin. Don't disrespect us, yelled Naruto, pointing at Tazuna as they started walking. Especially me. One day, I'll become Hokage. Remember this name, Uzumaki Naruto. You become Hokage, said Tazuna, taking another swig from his bottle. That'll be the day. Silence. I'll do whatever it takes to be Hokage, and then you'll acknowledge me. No, I won't. Later found the five walking down a dirt road. Sakura asked Tazuna if they had shinobi in Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, Tazuna's country of origin. No, Sakura, said Kakashi. But other countries do, the customs are a bit different, thought. There are the 5 main countries. Hai no Kuni, Fire Country, our native country. Then there's Mizu no Kuni, Water Country, Rai no Kuni, Lightning Country, Kase no Kuni, Wind Country, and Tsuchi no Kuni, Earth Country. They hold much of the power on our continent, and each have their own respective villages. The main villages are Konoha in Hai no Kuni, Suna, Sand, in Kase no Kuni, Kiri, Mist, in Mizu no Kuni, Kumo, Cloud, in Rai no Kuni, and Iwa, Stone, in Tsuchi no Kuni. And respectively are the 5 strongest shinobi in each, Hokage, Kazekage, Raikage, Mizukage, and Tsuchikage. But don't worry, said Kakashi, patting himself on the back. Since we're doing a C rank mission, it's unlikely we'll run into foreign shinobi. Maybe a couple of bandits, but that's it. The genin nodded and the five kept walking, past a puddle of water. Naruto rubbed his head, thinking about how hot it was, when something hit him. This hot, and a puddle was on the ground, and it hadn't rained for a while. Sasuke noticed that Naruto had stopped and smirked. Lose your nerve, Dobi. Grinning, Naruto said, nope, just wondering what a puddle's doing here in the middle of a hot summer day. Before anyone could react, the puddle had turned into two identical shinobi. Both had oxygen masks, clawed gauntlets that were connected by a spiked chain, and Kurigakure hidden mist Hitai that were horned. Both sprung into action and wrapped the chain around Kakashi and Naruto. Two little piggies, said the one with the two horns on his Hitai, and the two pulled on the chain, shredding Naruto and Kakashi. Naruto-kun, Kakashi-sensei, screamed Sakura as the remains of the two fell to the ground. And she heard a voice in her ear whisper, "Three little piggies." Sasuke sprung into action. He jumped into the air and threw a shuriken which pinned the chain to a nearby tree. The two Kiri-nin occupied with their chain, he kicked them both in the face. They let the chain loose from their gauntlets, and separated, the double-horned one going after Sasuke, and the single-horned one went at Sakura and Tazuna. Sakura pulled out a kunai and said, "Get behind me," while standing in front of Tazuna. The two Kiri-nin were stopped in their tracks by Kakashi and Naruto. Kakashi clotheslined the single-horned nin, while Naruto kicked the double-horned one in the face. Bah! Show off, thought Sasuke, glaring at the grinning Naruto who was still kicking the unconscious Kiri-nin, while Sakura rejoiced at the sight of her Naruto-kun. Wait, her Naruto-kun. She liked Sasuke. Sakura shook her head and saw the chopped-up logs, and thought, Kawarimi no Jutsu. Phew, we're saved, thought Tazuna, but when he saw the look on Naruto's face, he nearly wet himself. I'm screwed. Nice job, Sasuke, said Kakashi, who threw down the nin he had over his shoulder. You've got some explaining to do, old man, said Naruto, walking up to Tazuna. Naruto-kun, gasped Sakura, pointing at his hand. You're bleeding. Naruto looked down at his hand. Sure enough, two deep cuts were there, and the skin around them was turning purple. Would you look at that? He said. It must have happened when he did the Kawarimi. You better take care of that, said Kakashi. Their claws were soaked in poison, so he trailed off as Naruto whipped out a kunai and stabbed his hand, letting loose a gout of blood. Naruto winced at the pain, and he said to the panicking Sakura, "This is nothing, believe it or not." Taking out the kunai and letting his healing factor kick in, he turned back to Tazuna. Well, start explaining, old man. Sasuke snorted and looked at the tied-up Kiri-nin. Who are they? The Onikyudai, the demon brothers, twin Kiri-nin known for their tenacity in battle. And their Chunin, too, said Kakashi, turning to Tazuna. I could have killed them when they showed up, but I needed to find out what they were doing here. Tazuna stiffened. Well, he asked as innocently as he could. They were after you, said Kakashi, narrowing his visible eye. Our mission was just to protect you from bandits. Since they showed up, this has been upgraded to a B rank mission, at the very least. Now, I'm sure you had a reason, but it causes problems when the missions are lied about. Technically, we're not even supposed to continue on this mission. Elsewhere, a short fat man with black glasses stood yelling at a figure in the shadows. I can't believe you failed. I paid you guys a lot of money because I heard that you were powerful nuke nin. The shadowy figure moved, and the fat man found a giant sword pointed at him. Quit your bitchin', I'll go myself, and with Kubikiri Houcho, I'll kill them all. The fat man was somewhat reassured, but he still felt the need to ask, are you sure? The shadowy man chuckled. Who the hell do you think I am? There's a reason I'm called the demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi, said Tazuna, I have a confession to make. When Kakashi motioned for him to continue, Tazuna said, you're right, this is most likely out of your duties. It turns out that a very dangerous man has a contract out on me. Who? You've heard of him at least once, Gato, the shipping magnate. This sparked Kakashi's interests. Gato of the Gato Company. He's said to be one of the few people in the world to be extremely rich. Yeah, said Tazuna, closing his eyes. Officially, he runs the company, but that's just a cover. He uses shinobi and his cronies to sell drugs and other illegal items, and to take over businesses and countries. Not a very nice man. About a year ago, Nami no Kuni caught his eye. Using lots of money and violence, he took over the shipping industry. He'd have a complete monopoly on the country's business, if it weren't for the bridge I'm building. Sakura finished his thought. So he figures that if he kills you, the bridge won't be completed, and he'll control Nami no Kuni. Looking back at the demon brothers, Sasuke said, so, those two were hired by Gato. Kakashi nodded. That clears up a few things, but why did you lie about the possibility of shinobi after you? Nami no Kuni is in a depressing state right now. We're poor, so poor that even the daimyo has no money. But to that point, we didn't have enough money to pay for B-rank mission. Quote. Tazuna decided to play the sympathy card at this point. If you quit the mission, I'd understand. But my grandson would only cry for weeks on end. He said, chuckling. And my daughter would live a sad life hating all Konoha shinobi forever, but it would be your fault. Goodbye, said Naruto walking down the road. Where are you going, Naruto-ku? Sakura stopped it before it got out, but Kakashi noticed. He decided that he'd get her about it later. To Nami. We accepted the mission, so I'm going to at least see it through. Kakashi nodded. Well, Tazuna, it looks like we keep going. Hours later found the five taking a boat ride down a river. What thick mist, said Sakura. I can barely see. We should be able to see the bridge soon, said the boat rower. Nami no Kuni is at the base of the bridge. As the mist barely lifted, Naruto could see the bridge up close. That's the bridge. It's huge. Moments later, the rower said, we'll be to Nami soon. We've avoided detection so far, but it'll be definitely safer to take to vegetation route. It'll be difficult to spot us, then. Eventually, they landed on the far shore. After thanking the rower and seeing him off, the five resumed their journey. As they continued down the path, Naruto's newly sharpened ears caught the sound of pattering feet, and he slowed his walking. Naruto, asked Kakashi. There's an animal in the bushes, something small, like a rat, or a rabbit. Then he caught the sound of a heavy object spinning in the air. Kakashi heard it, too. Everyone down, he shouted, and as they dropped to the ground, a freakishly huge sword came out of nowhere and embedded itself in a tree. With a swish, a man appeared on the hilt. He was wearing matching BDU arm warmers and leg warmers, striped baggy pants, bandages over his mouth and neck, and a slanted hidden mist hit. He's looking at us, thought Sakura, and she heard Kakashi chuckle. Well, if it isn't the Kurigakure Nuke Nin Momochi Zabuza. With that, he put his hand up to his slanted hit. Zabuza spoke at last. It's a pleasure, Sharingan no Kakashi. Sorry, but, the old geezer is mine. Sasuke was shocked that Kakashi was referred to, Sharingan no Kakashi, but he heard Kakashi say to protect Tazuna. Then he saw what was under the hit that Kakashi had slanted, a scarred eye that held the Sharingan. You honor me, said Zabuza. I've always wanted to take on one with the Sharingan, that eye that can read and defeat the three styles, and copy any jutsu the user sees. When I was part of Kurigakure's assassin squad, you were in the bingo book. The man who had copied over 1,000 jutsu, Kopi Nin Kakashi. This makes no sense, thought Sasuke, glancing at Kakashi. The Sharingan is an Uchiha-only trait, could he be? Enough talk, said Zabuza, crouching. I have to kill the old geezer, but it seems that I have to kill you first, Kakashi. With that, he pulled his sword from the tree and leapt away. Naruto took this opportunity to turn on his own eyes, and activated Kanshi level 1. He saw Zabuza on top of the water, his left hand raised over his head in half ram, and his right at chest level in half ram. He could see the motions that Zabuza did, and knew that he had successfully mimicked his first jutsu. I better copy this down and work on it later. Ninpu. Kurigakur no Jutsu, 1, and Zabuza faded into the mist. Damn, said Kakashi. He'll come after me first. As a former Kiri nin, Zabuza is exceptionally skilled in silent killing. You guys, be on your guard. Zabuza could kill you like a small dog, you wouldn't notice until you're looking at your own mutilated body, and I can't use the Sharingan as well as I should. The mist is get thicker, yelled Naruto. And then, they heard Zabuza's warped voice. Liver, lungs, spine, clavicle vein, neck vein, brain, kidneys, heart, 8 choices, now which should I attack? Then the group felt it. It was like an enormous weight was pressing down on them, like walking into a den of ravenous lions. Sasuke, who had shown no emotion fighting the demon brothers, now visibly shivered. What an incredible ki. It's like, I'll be killed if I make a wrong move. This is enough to drive a person insane. Is this the intensity of a Junin? I can't take it. I'd almost rather die and get it over with. He was drawn out of his fear by Kakashi's voice. Sasuke, don't worry, I'll protect you guys even if it kills me. Now both his eyes smiling, he said, I don't let my comrades die. Not after you, Obito. We'll see about that, came Zabuza's voice, and he appeared in front of Tazuna and behind Sakura and Sasuke. Kakashi materialized behind the Kiri nin and stabbed him in the back with a kunai. The sound of dripping water reached their ears, and Zabuza dissolved into a puddle of water. He reappeared behind Kakashi and swung his sword, cutting Kakashi in 2 at the waist. Kakashi dissolved into water as well, which caught Zabuza by surprise. Mizu Bunshin, to think that he copied it in this mist. Don't move, said Kakashi, holding a kunai at Zabuza's neck. It's all over. Zabuza chuckled. Heh, it's over, you say. You just don't get it, do you? You can't beat me with your monkey see monkey do act. But you still amaze me. When you rabbled on about protecting your comrades, you had already copied my Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. You had your clone say those words to attract my attention while you hid in the mist. Nice plan, but I'm not that easy, said Zabuza from behind Kakashi, while the one in front of him dissolved into water. He swiped with his overly large sword, and Kakashi ducked to avoid the weapon which embedded itself in the ground. Zabuza pivoted on the hilt to kick Kakashi in the chest, and sent the gray-haired Junin flying. Now, he thought, but he saw the small deadly objects around his feet. Makebishi, throwing spikes. Kakashi, who had landed in the water at this point, felt himself heavily waterlogged. Damn, he cursed, and Zabuza appeared behind him. Fool, said the bandaged Kiri nin, and performing a set of seals, he imprisoned Kakashi in a ball of water. Double damn, thought Kakashi, as Zabuza began to gloat. You may have been using the water to escape, or you may not have, but at any rate, it was foolish. Now you're trapped in my inescapable special prison. It makes things tougher if you can move, you know. Putting his left hand into half ram, Zabuza glared at the genin and Tazuna. I'll save you for later. First, the little ones and the old geezer. In front of said targets, another Zabuza rose out of the water. Heh, wearing Hitai-8 and acting like real shinobi, but you know what? A real shinobi is someone who has spent their life cheating death. Basically, once you guys are good enough to be listed in my book, I'll call you real shinobi. But now, the second Zabuza disappeared, and Naruto found himself kicked in the face, and his Hitai-8 was torn from him. Naruto-kun, yelled Sakura, as the most recent object of her thoughts was sent flying backwards. Just a brat, muttered Zabuza, while Kakashi decided to abandon all pretense and save his team. Run, he yelled, ignoring any laws of physics. Take Tazuna-san and run. You have no chance of beating him. As long as he's got me, he won't move. And the Mizu Bunshin can't move far from the original. Never mind me, just get out of here. No, said Naruto, rising to his feet. Zabuza was really starting to annoy him. I've had my share of cheating death, and I'm not running away. With that, he charged at Zabuza, ignoring Sakura and Kakashi's cries for him to stop. Idiot, said Zabuza, and kicked him backwards again. Then he noticed that Naruto had gotten back his hit. Hey, you eyebrowless BSDM junkie, put this in your book. Tying his hit to his forehead, he grinned. The one who will become Hokage is the Konoha nin, Uzumaki Naruto. Now let's get wild. Sasuke and Sakura were amazed by this new Naruto, but Zabuza was not impressed. You've got guts, kid, maybe I'll show them to you. Run you idiot, shouted Kakashi. This was already over when I got caught. You're supposed to protect Tazuna-san. Did you forget that? You also said not to abandon your comrades, retorted Naruto with a smirk. You ready, Sasuke? Yeah, said Sasuke with a smirk. For some reason, Zabuza began to laugh. Still playing shinobi, are you? You guys don't know anything. When I was your age, these hands were already red with spilt blood, he said, holding up his free hand. When he heard Kakashi mutter something, he chuckled. So you have heard of it. Long ago, the Hidden Mist village was known as the Bloody Mist, because of the graduation exam. What makes it different than ours? Yelled Naruto to Zabuza. Zabuza chuckled and said, a battle royale, to the death. At their shocked looks, he added, friends who have trained and eaten at the same table with each other are forced to battle, until one of them loses their life. 10 years ago, said Kakashi, earning a glare from Zabuza, that exam was forced to change. This happened because the previous year, a lone boy, who wasn't even a genin, massacred the entire graduating class. That was the demon of the mist, Momochi Zabuza. Zabuza chuckled. You see, you have no chance against me. He trailed of and numerous Narutos came into existence. Kage Bunshin, he mused. A lot of them. As the Naruto clones piled onto Zabuza, the real Naruto reached into his pouch and opened a storage scroll. In a puff of smoke, the item within came out, and Naruto threw it at Sasuke, yelling for him to catch it. Sasuke caught it, and the item revealed itself to be Fuama Shuriken, Shadow Windmill. He tossed it at Zabuza, who said that it wouldn't work against him. But it swerved around the clone and headed toward the real one. You're aiming at the real me, but that's not enough. He yelled, catching it. He blanched when a second one appeared out of nowhere. A second one in the shadow. He thought, jumping over it. Kage Shuriken no Jutsu. A second one in the blind spot. Thought Sakura, and her eyes widened as she watched Zabuza jump over it. He dodged it. Zabuza chuckled, but he heard a telltale poof behind him. Turning his head, he saw Naruto in place of the shuriken. Naruto threw a kunai at Zabuza, but Zabuza saw that it was way off target. Then he saw the telltale orange tag connect to the hilt. Mother. Katsu. Yelled Naruto, putting his hands into the ram seal, and the Bakuretsu Fuda exploding tag exploded next to Zabuza's face. The force of the explosion threw Zabuza backwards, and freed Kakashi from his watery prison. Zabuza shook his head to clear it. That little bastard had nearly burned him with that gamble. Damn brat. He yelled and rushed Naruto, who had fallen into the water. Naruto glared at him, and his shimmering orange eyes caused Zabuza to hesitate. Those eyes. That hesitation was enough for Kakashi to appear out of nowhere and block the sword with the metal on his gloves. As Sakura cheered on Kakashi's return, Kakashi congratulated Naruto and Sasuke for their teamwork. Nice plan, Naruto, you used Kage Bunshin as a diversion while you transformed into the second Fuama Shuriken. Then you had Sasuke throw both, and transform when Zabuza thought you missed. But was that exploding tag really necessary? Yeah, how else would you have gotten out? Little bastard, thought Zabuza, while outwardly saying, hey, you distracted me and I slipped up. Kakashi wasn't about to let Zabuza go that easily. Rongo, you were forced to release it. And just so you'll know, I don't fall for the same jutsu twice. Naruto climbed out of the water and turned around just in time to see Zabuza and Kakashi leap apart on the water. When he saw their hands move, he knew that he might want to get down what they were about to do. He quickly muttered, "Tomo no Ryunogen, Kanshi-san." Now he was able to zoom in on their hands and he prepared an empty scroll. Kakashi and Zabuza's hand flashed through 43 seals in a matter of seconds, and the final seal the two Junin did was the bird seal, 44 seals total. Yes, I counted, and the two of them yelled, "Sweden, Suiryuden no Jutsu 2. On either side, a dragon made of water rose up, and circled each other before Kakashi's dragon wrapped its jaws around the neck of Zabuza's dragon, causing both dragons to collapse in a torrent of water. The tidal wave washed up to shore, and the four spectators shielded themselves as best they could. They went through it many seals in a matter of seconds. And Kakashi copied them all perfectly. Through the corner of his eye he saw Naruto, and casting a glance over, he saw Naruto put away the scroll he had. Glaring, he looked at Naruto's eyes and saw that they were slightly glowing yellow. Impossible, that Dobi saw them. He has a dujutsu. In the meantime, the water had settled to reveal Kakashi with a kunai versus Zabuza and his sword, cleaver. Strange, thought Zabuza. What's going on? Leaping away, he prepared to do a seal, when he saw Kakashi make the same motion. On that note, he came to a horrible realization. My movements, he's completely reading them, finished Kakashi. What? Thought Zabuza. Did he read my mind? Glaring hatefully at Kakashi's soul Sharingan, he tried to do another seal, only to have Kakashi mimic it. Damn, he cursed in his head. That freaky eye is really pissing me off, right? Said Kakashi calmly. Zabuza was started to get angry, but he tried to keep a clear head. Hey, all you're doing is copying me. You can't beat me, you monkey bastard. He yelled, and Kakashi yelled it out at the exact same time. That was the breaking point, and abandoning all pretense, Zabuza endeavored to finish his jutsu. Damn you, he yelled, flashing through seals and seeing Kakashi do the same. I'll teach you to copy me. I'll make it so you can never use that eye and mouth of yours ever again. But he stiffened. Wah, what in? For behind him, he saw an afterimage of himself. That's me, he thought, but this proved to be a critical mistake. Kakashi finished the order of seals, and ended in the ox seal. Sweden. Daibikufu no Jutsu. He yelled, and Zabuza found himself mesmerized by the spinning tomo of the Sharingan. An exploding whirlwind of water charged at Zabuza and caught him, flinging him into the trees. As Zabuza fell out of the tree to his knees, he saw Kakashi brandish a kunai. How? He asked. Can you see the future? Yeah, said Kakashi, and your future is death. Kakashi never got it. A pair of Senbon flew out of nowhere and embedded themselves in Zabuza's neck. The Nuke Nin let out a gurk, and fell on his side, lying still. Kakashi looked up to see a figure with a kimono and a white mask with the hidden mist emblem on the forehead. You're right, came a feminine voice. He's dead. Kakashi went over to Zabuza's still form, and checked his pulse. Nothing. He's really dead, he thought. Kill stealing bastard. Arigato gozaimasu, said the masked nin, bowing her head. I've been hunting Zabuza for a while. That mask, said Kakashi. You're a Kurigakur hunter nin. You are correct, said the hunter nin. At Naruto's confused look, the hunter nin explained. It is my sworn duty to hunt and execute Nuke Nin. I am a member of Kurigakur's hunter nin squad. Naruto and Sasuke came to the realization that the hunter nin was not much older than they were, and Naruto was about to voice his complaints. Kakashi came out of nowhere and said, calm down. In this world, there are things you must understand, like people younger than you being stronger. Begrudging, Naruto accepted Kakashi's words, and vaguely noted that the hunter nin smelled female. Said hunter nin disappeared and reappeared next to Zabuza. Your battle is over, she said, lifting Zabuza onto her shoulder. Now I must dispose of this body, since it contains certain secrets. Farewell. With that in her right hand half ram, the hunter nin disappeared in a swirl of leaves and mist. Kakashi pulled his Hitai-8 over his left eye, covering the Sharingan. Now, let's get Tazuna-san home. Tazuna laughed heartily. You guys rock. Come to my house and relax for a while. Speaking of relaxing, thought Kakashi, as he fell to the ground, amidst cries of, Kakashi-sensei. Looks like I used too much chakra, he thought. Now I can't move. Kakashi-san, are you alright? Asked Tsunami, Tazuna's 29-year-old daughter. The group was now resting at Tazuna's house. Yeah, he said from his spot on the futon on the ground. I just can't move for about a week. I guess the Sharingan puts too much stress on your body, sensei, said Sakura kneeling beside him. Well, said Tazuna grinning, we defeated that strong of a shinobi this time. We should be safe for a while. By the way, asked Sakura, rubbing her chin, who was the kid with the mask? That was a hunter nin, said Kakashi, looking at the ceiling. Specifically, that was a member of Kurigakure's special hunter nin team, also called body erasers. Basically, a hunter nin's job is to completely dispose of a body and leave no traces. A shinobi's body contains the secrets of a hidden village, ninjutsu, different chakra types, herbs, those kinds of things. For example, if I were killed in battle, the secrets of the Sharingan could be revealed. If you're not careful, there's the danger that the enemy could steal your jutsu. A shinobi's body can reveal things, so the job of hunter nin is to protect the village's secrets, and that means complete annihilation of the body. No sound, no smell, that's a fighting ninja's end. So Zabuza was chopped up and burned, said Sakura, grimacing. Scary. Speaking of secrets, said Sasuke, glaring at Naruto, what's up with those eyes of yours, Dobi? Naruto tried to play dumb. What eyes? You can't fool me, growled Sasuke, narrowing his eyes. I saw you watching Kakashi and Zabuza's fight, and you were writing something while your eyes were glowing. That means that you have a dojutsu that can copy things, and that's what you were doing, right? Naruto cursed himself for his ignorance. He should have been paying more attention. Kakashi chuckled. Secret dojutsu, huh? Naruto bowed his head, and when he lifted it, he had activated Kanshi. This was supposed to remain a secret, he growled to Sasuke. Sakura found herself mesmerized by Naruto's orange pools. She felt her heartbeat race, and she covered her blushing face. Anyo, what do they do, Naruto-kun? She asked. Naruto looked at her squinting. She's never called me Naruto-kun before, and now she's got that honey smell like Hinata-chan. Well, I can see details on things, see far away, and see through things, he said. No need for them to know anymore. Kakashi nodded. So, a combination of the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Yeah, said Naruto nodding and pulling his scroll beside him. I can't see chakra though, and the clan rules state that no one outside of family knows about our eyes. Hey, smooth, he thought. No need to tell them about the other Tomo. So, a cheap imitation of the Sharingan, said Sasuke with a smirk. That doesn't change a thing. You're still a Dobi to me. At least I activated my eyes, said Naruto, smirking right back. Elsewhere, the hunter nin dropped Zabuza to the ground and pulled out a pouch with medical tools. Pulling out a pair of scissors, she moved them to Zabuza's face. Okay, she said. First I'll cut the mouth cloth, and drain a little blood, and... That won't be necessary, said the revitalized Zabuza, grabbing the hand with the scissors and uncovering his mouth. Oh, she said. You're alive. Cursing, Zabuza pulled the Senbon from his neck. You shouldn't do that, said the hunter nin. You could die pulling them out like that. After Zabuza said to take off the mask, she reached up and pulled it off, revealing a pretty face framed by black hair and a Kurigakure Hitai-8. It reminds me of the old days, and it was useful for the act. If I hadn't showed up, you would have died. If you were going to temporarily kill me, retorted Zabuza, massaging the entry wounds, you could hit me somewhere else. It didn't have to be my neck. You have the finesse of a butcher. Haku smiled at the insult. I know, I just didn't want to scar your body, and the neck doesn't have much muscle, so it's easier to hit the pressure point there. You shouldn't move for about a week, but you'll be able to move soon. Zabuza stared at her, then chuckled. You're so pure and clever, that's what I like about you, Haku. Haku smiled again. That's because I'm just a kid, look, the mist is clearing. Will you be alright next time? Next time, I will defeat the Sharingan. X. Kakashi's eyes snapped open, and he shot up and cursed loudly. Damn. While Sakura and Naruto recovered from their subsequent heart attacks, Tsunami wagged a finger at the Junin. Kakashi-san, language. Gomen, Tsunami-san, said Kakashi, rubbing his masked face. I just realized something. It shames me to know it took this long, though. What, sensei? Asked Naruto as he, Sakura, and Sasuke crowded around him. Hunter Nin usually dispose of the body on the spot, and they just take the target's head as proof of a successful kill. Finally, they rarely use Senbon to kill. He took the body with him, and those needles, muttered Sasuke, before his eyes widened. No way. Yeah, said Kakashi. At Tazuna's confused look, he said, more than likely, Momochi Zabuza is still alive. The silence was so foreboding that a pin dropping would have sounded like a cannon shot. Finally, Naruto yelled out, but you said he was dead. You checked him yourself. Yeah, I did, said Kakashi, thinking back. But more than likely, that was a state of temporary death. Senbon have low killing rate, unless they're aimed at a vital organ. Doctors use Senbon in acupuncture, so it'd be an easy thing for a Hunter Nin to put someone in a state of temporary death, since they know human physiology very well. That brings me to the second point, he said, bowing his head. That Hunter Nin used Senbon to kill him, and then carried him off, that means that Hunter Nin was Zabuza's ally. His head bowed, Kakashi fell into deep thought. With Zabuza still alive, there's still no guarantee that Geto hired any more shinobi. What do you want us to do, sensei? Asked Sakura. You guys are gonna receive training, he said. Don't look at me like that, he said, catching the looks they were giving him. You guys saved me from someone who gave me a hard time, and that's saying something. But obviously, this is just until I get better. Stretching, Kakashi finished with, we should have about a week, because when someone is brought back from the temporary death, they can't move for a while until their body returns to normal. Nice, said Naruto. This sounds like fun. No, it's not, came a little voice. Holy shit, gasped Naruto, but low enough so Tsunami couldn't hear him. Tazuna called the little boy who appeared out of nowhere Inari and held open his arms for a hug. Inari ran to him, saying, Grandpa. These are the people who saved your grandpa, said Tazuna, pointing at the three genin. Mommy, they're all gonna die, said Inari, pointing at the genin. Little punk, growled Naruto, leaping to his feet. When Inari said that they would definitely lose to Geto, Naruto had to restrain by Sakura, who didn't redden and asked him why he was getting mad at a little kid. Listen up, Inari, said Naruto, pointing. I'm a hero who become Hokage someday. That Geto's got nothing on me. Inari snorted and said, are you an idiot? Heroes don't exist. If you don't want to die, then leave while you still can. With that, Inari turned on his heel and went to his room. Okay. Now we start training, said Kakashi. He had taken the genin to a forest and was now using crutches to get around. I assume you all know what chakra is, right? When the three genin nodded, Kakashi sighed in relief. I'm gonna teach you how to harness it correctly. But we can already use jutsu, said Sasuke. Nope, said Kakashi, looking up a tree. You guys aren't using it correctly. At their confused looks, he continued. To release chakra means to harness spiritual and physical energy in your body and mix them within you. Based on what jutsu you use, the type and amount of chakra that is released will be different. But you guys aren't using your chakra effectively. Even if you're able to release a high amount of chakra, it isn't worth spit if you can't control it properly. Any jutsu you use will be weakened or won't work at all. So basically, you'll be screwed in a fight because of wasting energy. So what do you want us to do? asked Naruto. You guys are gonna learn how to control your chakra by climbing trees. How will tree climbing help us? Asked Sakura. Kakashi's eye smiled. You'll be doing it without using your hands. In this order: Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura. Quote, comma, exclamation mark, quote. Sweet. How are we going to do that? Putting his hands in the ram seal, Kakashi turned to his tree and walked straight up it, crutches and all. You gather chakra in the soles of your feet and climb. The main purpose of this exercise is to teach you chakra control. Bringing out the right amount to the right area, this is essential when using jutsu. Hell, even a skilled ninja has trouble with this exercise. The amount of chakra needed for tree climbing is small, but it must be exact. They say that the soles of the feet are extremely difficult to gather chakra at. So basically, if you master this, then you can master any jutsu, in theory, that is. The second purpose is to give you stamina needed for chakra control. Depending on the jutsu, controlling your chakra can be difficult as well. And a shinobi will usually be doing this while constantly moving, usually in battle. These types of situations can be very stressful on you and your chakra control. That's why you'll be climbing trees. Well, he said, pulling out 3 kunai. Me standing here talking isn't going to do anything. This is something you have to do yourself. With that, he threw the kunai at the 3, and the kunai landed at their feet. Use those kunai to mark how far you get up the tree, then try to get higher than you did. You guys won't be able to do it well at first, so try running to gain momentum. The 3 nodded and ran at their respective trees. Naruto, trying to use as little chakra as he could due to his massive stores, ended up taking 3 steps up the tree before falling. Sasuke, on the other hand, used too much chakra and made 4 steps up the tree before the wood underfoot splintered and he was forced to vault off. Damn, he thought, glaring at his mark. Too much chakra, and the wood cracks; too little, and you won't get far. Sakura had made it to the top of her tree and shouted down, "This is pretty easy." Looks like Sakura's the best at chakra control, said Kakashi, while Naruto shouted up how well Sakura did. I guess Sakura's closer to being Hokage than a certain someone, he said, glancing at Naruto. Offhandedly, he added, looks like the Uchiha clan is worth much, either. This rose both Naruto and Sasuke's ire. Off to the side, Inari stood watching. Watching these retards train is sorta funny, they don't know that it's a waste of time. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, sorry. What was meant? In a secluded yet giant tree house, Haku kept a steady vigil over a bed-ridden Zabuza. Then she heard footsteps, and winced slightly. It was him again. Ha! So even you came back defeated, said Gato, accompanied by his samurai, not looking a bit like any either, bodyguards, Zori, Emo, and Waraji Eyepatch. Looks like Kiri Nin suck major ass. And you call yourself a demon? You make me laugh. Zabuza glared at the fat man, and Gato's bodyguards put their hands to the hilts of their swords. Hold on a second, said Gato, stepping forward. Coming up to Zabuza, he reached for the Nuke Nin's bandaged mouth, saying, there's no need to stay silent. With the reflexes of a high-strung cat, Haku grabbed Gato's outstretched arm and crushed the bones. Don't you dare touch Zabuza-sama with your filthy hands. She hissed. No, cried Gato. My best hand. Waraji and Zori reached for their swords, but Haku had disarmed them and held their own weapons at their throats. Get out, now, before I become even more angry than I am now, she hissed, and her eyes turned as cold as ice. Sweating, the trio left. You get one more chance, yelled Gato, cradling his broken arm as he and his cronies left. If you fail, you're outta here. Remember that. When they were gone, Zabuza lifted his sheets to reveal a kunai. You didn't have to do that, you know. I know, Haku replied. But it's too early to kill Gato, it'll draw attention to us, and then they will be after us again. Smiling, she added, we must bide our time. Sakura sat panting at the base of her tree. Kakashi had left after telling them to do their best, so the 3 genin were alone in the clearing. I'm worn out. Those two are stamina monsters, she thought, looking over at Naruto and Sasuke. They really look like they're improving, Naruto-kun even more so, she blushed again. She didn't like Naruto, she liked Sasuke. Naruto went over to Sakura and knelt in front of her, ignoring the honey smell he could tell was now coming from her. Do you think you could help me out, Sakura-chan? He asked. Sure, she said, embarrassed by his close proximity. Chakra is mainly spiritual energy, so you can't get too excited. To gather chakra to your feet, just relax and focus on the tree. Naruto grinned and nodded, and gave her a hug. Arigato gozaimasu, he said, then scurried but to his tree. Sakura sat there, her heart racing. He touched me, she thought frantically. He touched me. As Sasuke watched Naruto finally reach the top of his tree after 3 tries, he glared hatefully at his blonde teammate. He had considered asking Sakura for help, but he remembered how his did the same with his father and his older brother, and look what happened there. So he was determined to do it on his own. Sakura saw him struggling with his efforts, so she thought that she should help him out. After all, if Naruto can do it, then surely Sasuke-kun could, she thought. Approaching him, she asked, Sasuke-kun, would you like some tips on getting up to the top? I don't need your help. He snapped. I can do it on my own. I don't need anyone's help. Naruto watched out of sight from the top of his tree. Narrowing his eyes, he knew this was going to turn ugly pretty quick. Sakura recoiled at the venom in Sasuke's voice. I was just trying to help, Sasuke-kun. Like I said before, I don't need anyone's help, least of all yours, he growled, glaring at her through a slanted eye. Do you have any idea of how sick I am of you following me like a lost puppy? You're pathetic. The only reason you got up that tree so quickly with your chakra control is because your reserves are way too small. The only thing you'd be useful for is your book smarts and genjutsu. Wait, you fell for an incredibly simple one during the bell test. Sakura was trembling at the lashing she was getting from her supposed Sasuke-kun, and she knew he wasn't done yet. I, on the other hand, have more jutsu than I have to deal with, and more chakra than you, he said, ignoring the look in her eyes. The only way I'd accept your help or even think of going out with you would be if you were at least up to the Hyuga bitch's level. Naruto was seething now. Not only did Sasuke tear into his Sakura-chan about her weaknesses, he had the nerve to call his Hinata-chan a bitch. Oh, he was going to regret this big time. Frankly, you're as weak as the Dobi, even with his sad little Kekai Genkai. A jutsu or two wouldn't help you, you'd be better off just quitting as a kunoichi. Turning away and going to another tree, he threw a final insult over his shoulder. By the way, even if I did think about going out with you, I wouldn't. Not on my clan's honor. Sakura felt her heart shatter into tiny pieces. Her eyes filled with tears, she stood there, Sasuke's voice in her head, telling her that she was a waste of time and space. As her tears streamed down her face, she turned around and ran out of the clearing, sobbing quietly. Naruto had had enough. He knew that what Sasuke said to Sakura was unbearably harsh, but it was also unnecessary. Now he made his Sakura-chan cry. Naruto shook his head. When did he think of Sakura-chan as his? Putting that thought aside, he jumped through the trees, following Sakura as she ran, but not until he threw a kunai with an exploding tag attached to the hilt at Sasuke's tree. Katsu, he muttered. Sasuke snorted at the sounds of Sakura's anguish. I did her a favor, he muttered, making his way up the tree. As he reached the highest point he had gotten to previously, a thunk in the tree made him pause and check the area. He saw a kunai inches away from his feet, and at the sight of the exploding tag on the kunai, his eyes widened. The kunai went off, and he was thrown backwards by the force of the explosion. He collided with a tree behind him, and was knocked blissfully unconscious. Sakura came to a stop in another clearing, and she fell to her knees, crying her heart out. Sasuke had been brutal in his assessment of her abilities, and deep down, she knew that she was weaker than the two of them, and Hinata as well. She felt so depressed that her mind began to wander, and thoughts of suicide drifted in. She felt someone grab her from behind, and she yelped, standing to her feet to try to fight off her assailant. Sakura-chan. She heard, and she calmed down. Naruto-kun, she whispered, turning around. Naruto had hugged her from behind, and now had a warm, sincere smiling on his face. I heard what Sasuke-tem said, he said, spitting out Sasuke's name like a curse. And I think he's a stuck-up bastard who's going to die alone. As far as I know, out of the three of us, you've got the better chance of becoming Hokage. Sakura felt horrible. Here was Naruto, telling her all these things, and she knew that she was worthless. And no, I don't, she said, tears falling. I can't do anything. The only reason I became a kunoichi was so Sasuke would look at me, but now, she trailed off, beginning to cry. No, said Naruto, wiping away her tears. He's way wrong. Look at me, I couldn't do a simple bunshin or henge, and I turned out just fine. So if someone with horrible control and a lot of chakra can do it, then you can too. Sakura sniffled and asked, do you mean that, Naruto-kun? Every word, and I never go back on my word, he said, stroking her back. Sakura wiped away her tears and hugged him, saying, thank you, Naruto-kun, and I'm sorry for being mean to you before. It's okay, he said. I just want to see you happy. Happy? The word traveled through her head, and she came to several conclusions right there. First, Sasuke was a selfish asshole, and she had been searching for gold when Naruto were the apparent diamonds. Second, Naruto treated her like someone, unlike a certain Uchiha. Third, she now knew that her thoughts on Naruto now were genuine, and she felt her heart race at the closeness they were at. Naruto stood nuzzling her neck, when he caught a familiar smell. Nay, he looked at Sakura, and she looked back at him, her eyes lidded green orbs. On one accord, she reached up and began kissing him, feeling her body give into what she had been fighting off during the time of Team 7. Naruto was surprised that Sakura-chan was kissing him, but he had no complaints, so he kissed her back, gently massaging her back. Sakura backed slowly against a tree, pulling him with her, and wrapped her arms around him. I want, Naruto-kun, she thought through her hazed mind. He's here, and I want him to make me his. It's easy to say that Naruto was startled by the hand he felt at his pants. Sakura, he gasped. I like you, Naruto-kun, said Sakura, undoing the buttons on her one piece while reaching for her black shorts. And I want to make up to you all those years of me being a bitch. Smiling, she whispered in his ear, I offer myself to you, body and soul. Because everyone's been so patient with me on Wrath of the Dragon, I've decided to reward all of you with another lemon. This means that I'll have to lay off the lemons for a few chapters or so, but it'll be worth it. The same thing I said before applies, you don't like it, don't read it. Matter of fact, you don't like it, just stop reading, because as soon as the lemon ends, it goes to the author's final notes. Anyway, without further ado, here is the second lemon of Windows of the Soul. Naruto's mind shut down, but the primal side of him born of the failed transfer sealing remained alert. Because of the failed jutsu, it had tampered with Naruto's genetic structure, unlocking certain genes that millennia of evolution had shut off in humans. Certain genes, which made him more animal-like. His mind slowly reawakening, Naruto purred and kissed his newfound mate. Sakura kissed him back, her still growing breasts pushing against his chest. Naruto distantly noted that while they were smaller than Hinata-chan's, they still were slightly bigger than a handful. Sakura had undone Naruto's pants, and held his now growing manhood in her silky hands. She heard her Naruto-kun moan, and she smiled inwardly as she gently pulled it to her moist entrance. She would soon be his, and then she would show that bastard Sasuke the true meaning of pain. Naruto, unaware of her thoughts, pushed himself into her silky thighs, kissing her as she let out a yelp of pain, reassuring her with a hug as she trembled. Sakura couldn't believe how large the thing was that was inside her. She had felt some pain, like a kunai stab, and knew that Naruto had taken her virginity. Her arms around him, she distantly thought about what her parents would do to her if they found out about this, but she threw those thoughts to the wind, thinking, Naruto-kun will protect me. Naruto began to slowly thrust into Sakura, hearing her gasp in pleasure. Suckling on her neck, he began to drive into her against the tree. Sakura was now moaning and crying out his name in pure ecstasy, and wrapped her legs around his waist. She had been denied long enough, and now she was sorry that she had nearly missed out on this. The pace growing faster, Naruto began to grunt with each thrust, and Sakura kept her grip on him as he drove her to cloud 9. Soon, she felt a searing heat in her womb, and cried out Naruto's name as she clenched down on him. Naruto growled out her name, and as he pulsed into her, his eyes opened to reveal purple eyes with slitted pupils, and his whisker marks grew more pronounced. Sakura felt something warm and wet splash inside her, and she gasped out his name in ecstasy, before all went black. End of Lemon. X. Hot damn, 27 freaking pages according to Microsoft Word. I had a lot of fun writing this chapter, managed to burn Sasuke twice, and showed that a bit of change can affect a person in more ways than one, i.e. Naruto's increased intelligence. I see that a couple of you are starting to see what happened to Naruto, so kudos to you. I'll probably end up totally revealing in the next couple of chapters, but things are looking good for all of us. Another note, the inspiration I got for Sasuke's rail against Sakura was due to Little Kiribo's Yu-Gi-Oh! The abridged movie. In that part where Kaiba railed against Yugi, you can watch it on or download it at Little Kiribo's main site. I just listened to the speech a couple of times, wrote it down, and applied it to Naruto. After a few trials, the speech Sasuke gave was the final result. On a final note, I sure hope that I don't get flagged for this, because I really don't fancy being banned from this wonderful site. I gave off 2 long warnings, so, meh. The end. Thank you for watching, guys.